Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's your man, Adam A. Spencer, here with another growth portfolio update today, Saturday, May 28th, 2022. But along with doing our regular traditional M1 Finance growth portfolio update, I do also want to share some important news about BBIG, which is another growth stock that I am invested in. And of course, nothing I say on this channel is legal or financial advice, but I do want to share this news with you guys to help maybe encourage some of you out there who are, as they call you or us, I'm going to say us, bag holders, as if it's a horrible thing. Because oftentimes people will throw that term around like it's the worst thing ever. But truth of the matter is, it's during these times when, the market just keeps going down and down and down that you want to consider holding, if anything, because at some point it probably will have kind of a bit of a reversal, kind of a bit of a rebound. And, you can see the portfolio here on M1 Finance over the past day. We are up 6.44%, a lot of green, which is what we want, right? And we'll continue with our growth portfolio update. But as you can see, this latest news that just came out saying the S&P 500 Dow snap losing streaks for best week since November 2022. So I'm not going to read this whole article, but as you can see, it says investors got a reprieve from a painful sell-off as the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 rallied to close their best week since November 2020. The Dow jumped 575.77 points, or nearly 1.8%, to 33,212.96, and the S&P 500 rose about 2.5% to 4,158.24. The tech-heavy NASDAQ composite was the outperformer, helped by strong earnings from software companies and a fall in the 10-year Treasury yield. It ended the day up 3.3% to reach 12,131.13%. All three of the major averages closed the week higher. The Dow finished up 6.2% for the week and snapped its longest losing streak, 8 weeks, since 1923. And the S&P 500 is 6.5% higher, and the NASDAQ is 6.8% on the week. Both indexes ended 7-week losing streaks. A chunk of the week's gains came Thursday and Friday when all three of the averages rallied as strong retail earnings and a slower inflation report lifted sentiment. Now, I wanted to share this with you guys because if you were someone who happened to decide last week, at the beginning of the week, you said, you know what, I don't trust this market anymore. I think it's going to just keep falling. It's never going to return, or it's not going to return for months. And if you sold at that point, just the gains that we've seen from Thursday and Friday, as this points out, it would be a major chunk of the losses that you potentially might have been, experiencing over the past few months and weeks and, days or whatever. And so this is why it's so important to have your plan and stick with your plan and understand that the market's going to have its ups, but it's also going to have its downs. But at some point, those downs are most likely going to come to an end and things will continue to move up. Now, does it mean this bear market that we've been experiencing is completely done? No, not entirely. This might be like a little pump fake, right? It might be a little consolidation period, get things moving up a little bit just so it can consolidate in these lower ranges and then they lower it again. Or alternatively, this might be the end of this bear market and things might continue to move up from here on out for the rest of this year, for the most part. And maybe, this bear market, this red market that we've been experiencing might be done with. No one really knows for sure. I'm sticking with my guns. I've said it in other videos. I believe July is going to be a good month for the whole market as a whole. 4th of July, Independence Day. I think there's a lot of correlations oftentimes with holidays, big meaningful days. Independence Day, that's US, America. Come on. They don't want the market to be horrible in July. It's been pretty bad, pretty bloody all year. At some point, they kind of give us something to work with. I think it's coming in July. It might be next month though, in June. In terms of the kind of the reverse, we might have seen it this week potentially, but in terms of things really starting to pick up and run and move forward, I think it's going to come in July. Again, this isn't legal or financial advice, and we're actually seeing some positive news, some good news that is taking place now. and not necessarily in July. And I'm talking about 5 Narrow Lane made a big bet on Vinco Ventures BBIG. And like I said, we're going to dive into our regular growth portfolio update, but I wanted to share this with you guys because I've spoken about BBIG on this channel before. It's not a stock inside of my M1 Finance account. Instead, I have this inside of WeBull. I do not take the same strategy that I do with my M1 Finance growth portfolio as I have with Vinco Ventures, with BBIG. This has been a large sum approach or strategy where I've thrown, and I'll do a dollar cost averaging strategy where I'll average down every once in a while. I'll throw money at it and average it down, but ultimately it doesn't have a consistent, every week I'm investing money in this play like I do with our M1 Finance portfolio. So I did want to kind of mention that with you. I do have stocks that are part of portfolios where they're being invested in on a consistent, ongoing basis, and others like BBIG where I might throw a good amount of money at it, and I'll average down if the opportunity presents itself, if I believe in the company, which Vinco Ventures BBIG I do. Now with this latest news, this is positive news. This is fantastic news because BBIG hasn't necessarily been doing so hot as we know, because the market as a whole has been getting hammered. And so growth plays, as you guys know with our growth portfolio, or will see if you're new here, are definitely taking a beating or have been. And so this is some really good news. 5 Narrow Lane just disclosed a 9.67% stake in Vinco Ventures. The investment firm purchased 22.55 million shares of the company, and BBIG stock closed higher by 3.4% following the news. They disclosed this information through a 13G form, stating how much, and as I mentioned, the stocks rose to $2.57 as a result of this news. And ultimately, a 13G form implies passive ownership. Meanwhile, its counterpart, the 13D form, indicates active ownership. So earlier this week, Vinco Ventures reported that it was pushing back its distribution date for Cryptide. Investors in BBIG stock were not pleased as a result, and shares dropped more than 15% this week. Vinco had originally slated the distribution date for May 27th. Unfortunately, though, the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, has yet to approve Cryptide's Form S1. Without approval of the form, the distribution cannot occur. BBIG shareholders also have to continue to hold their shares until the distribution date in order to receive the Cryptide distribution. 5 Narrow seems to be confident in Vinco Ventures despite the distribution date pushback. However, that much is evident from its recent purchase. Let's get into the details. So I'm not going to get too much in the details, although this isn't that big. So maybe I'll just punch out the rest of this for you guys. It says, according to 13G form with a May 25th date of event, as I mentioned, 5 Narrow had purchased 22.55 million shares of BBIG. And not much is known about 5 Narrow Lane. When my buddy texted me and said, hey, this, that, I'm like, I've never heard it. Who is that? It says, according to Fintel, the investment firm owns only 2 positions in its portfolio. The first is BBIG stock. The second is 262,177 shares of Zosano Pharma, ZSAN ticker symbol, with its 9.67% stake in Vinco. 5 Narrow just barely misses the 10% cutoff to be classified as a company insider. So, how do Vinco insiders feel about their company? Apparently, insiders have purchased 300,000 shares of BBIG in the past year while selling 100,000 shares. In total, insiders have amounted to a net activity of 200,000 shares purchased. Those transactions can be attributed to Director Philip McFillan, who received 300,000 shares last year as part of an equity incentive plan. In January, McFillan sold 100,000 shares at an average price of $5 via a prearranged 10B5-1 plan. So even the individual who had sold some of his shares, it was part of a plan that was already, prearranged and in place. It wasn't like he was like, oh, let me just sell these. It was already there in place. So my friends, to me, this is all fantastic news. If you're someone looking for a growth stock, a stock that you believe could potentially be in a much better place, more lucrative in terms of the stock price in 5 years or year, 10 years, just down the road at some point, BBIG might be that stock. And evidently 5 Narrow Lane is another institution, is another wheel, is another player in the mix who also believes that Vinco Ventures, that BBIG stock will go up from where it currently is today in the mid $2. So I wanted to share this with you guys because I know on this channel I do speak about BBIG here and there. And of course, it is a growth stock. So I thought, hey, it's Saturday. I always do my M1 Finance growth portfolio updates and thought this would be a great time to introduce another investment kind of strategy and another investment, another growth stock that I am invested in. Of course, as I mentioned, nothing I say on this channel is legal or financial advice. But if you do want to grow your money, consider starting your own M1 Finance portfolio or investing with WeBull, where you can get some free stocks if you start and fund your account using my referral link down below. Now, if you're new to this channel, we have this growth portfolio where we contribute $25 every week, regardless of how the market is doing. As you can see, over the past day, we are up 6.44%. Over the past week, however, we're up 10.45%. Now, this is what we want to see in the short term. It looks like, hey, things might be starting to reverse, starting to turn around for the better, because you're seeing a lot of green over the past day, over the past week. However, over the past month, you can see we're actually down 18.19%. Over the past quarter, we're down 38.88%. 1 year, it's down 64.54%, which is the same as all time since we started this portfolio back on October 8th, 2021. Now, as I mentioned, we contribute $25 every week to this portfolio, regardless if the market's doing good, if it's doing bad. Fortunately for us, over the past few days, we're starting to see some pretty good signs that the market may have potentially hit the bottom, and it might be continuing to run from here. I don't know. I'm a little iffy. I think it might potentially be another little fake out, another little kind of consolidation period. Maybe we get a little run up for a little bit, a week or so, and then they drop us down again a bit. And I think come July, things will really start to turn around. But either way, we continue to invest in our portfolio here at M1 Finance, regardless, again, of how the market is performing. And when we look at our portfolio to see who is performing well, who's not doing so hot, you can see everyone is in the red. So no one's killing it at this point in our portfolio. But instead, think about this as sales, as buying opportunities that you would only dream about. Because if you're down on something that you believe is going to be up in value in a year and 5 years and 10 years from now, well, why would you pass up the chance to buy? And that's why we continue to invest in this portfolio in companies like ChargePoint, who's down 0.63%, Navita, who's down 20.37%, SEMrush, down 28.89%, CleanSpark, down 33.83%, Palantir Technologies, down 61.69%, Bakkt Holdings, down 66.56%, Coinbase, down 81%, and DraftKings, down 94.77%. Now, I'm not panicking. I'm not selling. Like I said, as I shared with you guys, this news about the S&P 500 and Dow and how everything has really started to do pretty well, where you can see a chunk of the week's gains came from Thursday and Friday alone. So if you were someone who was panicking and you were freaking out at the beginning of the week and then you sold, well, a lot of the gains that the market has seen across the board really took place at the end of the week, and you would have missed out on that opportunity. But since we continue to invest in this portfolio, regardless of how the market is doing, we are able to continue to benefit from the gains that we've seen in a short period of time over the past week. And that's demonstrated here. As you can see, return 10.45%. So as a whole, our portfolio currently sits at $948.45, which is a return of negative 64.54%, gives us a gain of negative $782.66, with 4 cents that we've earned in dividends. So, hey, the portfolio that we're currently looking at, our growth portfolio here, certainly could be worse. There are other portfolios out there that I've seen, and I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I didn't just throw heavily at like Coinbase and DraftKings and nothing else to kind of soften the blow. So things could certainly be worse, and things could obviously be better as well. But we're not giving up on this portfolio, and we will continue to invest $25 every week until, we need the money or until we are happy with the returns that we have generated. I have a feeling it's going to be a little while, but again, this is not money that I need anytime soon. So there's no problem. That's why we continue to invest this $25 every week. But all right, my friends, you already know what it is. I got to keep it moving, but I'm curious to hear with you guys about your strategy with growth stocks. Do you have growth stocks in your portfolio? If so, how are they doing? Are you still investing? Did you kind of panic sell and you gave up a bit? And more specifically regarding BBIG, what do you think about BBIG in this latest institution to jump in the mix? 5 narrow lane. Pretty good news if you ask me, but hey, I'm just some guy on YouTube. This isn't legal or financial advice, of course. So if you guys want to see more videos like this to help you with making, managing, and growing your money, definitely check out this video down below. But all right, my friend, you already know what it is. I gotta keep it moving, but I'll see you in the next video. Peace.